So according to Sony, they are completely scrapping their Spider-Verse because it didn't perform the way they wanted it to. You don't say. But I say this is kind of a good thing because it needs a hard reboot anyway. And this is what happens when you try to build a Spider-Verse without Spider-Man. But all the movies in this little miniature universe were from to trash completely. But the best movie out of this whole series was Venom 1. And that was good. Not great, but good. When I rated it, I gave it a 7 out of 10. So, Venom 1, it was good. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. It wasn't a bad movie. They could have done so much more with it. That's the only thing that made me mad about it, is it could have been so much more. It was decent. Let's see. Morbius. Mid as hell. Another one that they really could have done a lot more with, but they watered it down so much, and I didn't like that. Madam Web. Trash. Pure, unadulterated trash. Hot garbage dumpster juice. Get it the hell out of there. Venom 3, The Last Dance. Once again, it didn't have the same charm as the first Venom movie, even though it's a little fun watch. I mean, I would probably give it like a 6.5 at best. And last but not least, Kraven the Hunter. That movie was delayed twice, and it ended up being mid. So yeah, this whole miniature Spider-Verse was weak as hell. And I know that a lot of people are suffering from superhero movie fatigue anyway, but there was so much to be desired with these movies, and they made a few key mistakes. The first mistake they made is the obvious one. Stop trying to make the villains into heroes. They are villains for a reason. And don't get me wrong, guys, because you can do an anti-hero supervillain movie, supervillain origin story, and do it the right way. The only ones that I know right offhand that got it right in recent memory was both Suicide Squad movies from DC and the Joker movie, the very first Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. Mistake number 2 that they made. Now, I know that blood, gore, and excessive violence does not a better superhero movie make, but a lot of these movies would have benefited a lot from having an R rating, especially all 3 Venom movies and Morbius, being a vampire movie and all. And the reason why Marvel didn't take that risk was for the stupidest reason. They figured, well, we don't want to take that chance because we don't know how well an R-rated supervillain movie will perform. Really now? A third mistake that they made was the obvious one, is not having any kind of allusion to Spider-Man in this universe at all. But the whole point of this was to try to make a Sinister Six universe for them to ultimately team up against Spider-Man. And a lot of these post-credit scenes ended up going nowhere. And I'll tell you, one thing that could have saved the Morbius movie was if they would have introduced Blade in this movie, especially in the post-credit scene. Now, with Spider-Man 4 being in pre-production, the next question I have is it too late to save these villains? And the question is, no, I don't think so. But I think that one thing that they need to do in the next Spider-Man movie is they need to introduce Kingpin. I say the primary villain in the next Spider-Man movie has to be Kingpin, with the secondary villain being Kraven the Hunter. The first movie should end with Spider-Man and Daredevil teaming up. And then in the next Spider-Man movie, then you have Morbius be the main villain. And then Morbius kicks Spider-Man's ass all over New York City, and then he decides to enlist Blade for help. That'll be a great one. And then in the third one, that's when you introduce 2 Venoms. You have the villain Venom, which is Matt Gargan, and then you have the anti-hero Venom, which is Eddie Brock. And because this is the multiverse saga, you can still have Doc Ock, you can have Vulture, and you can have Mysterio. All 3 of those can still work for the Sinister Six. And then you have one major ultimate crossover event called Spider-Man and the Sinister Six, where Spider-Man gets his ass kicked for the majority of the movie, and then he enlists the help of Blade, Black Cat, Silver Sable, and Daredevil, and a couple of other street-level heroes. But anyway, that's how I would do it. But what do you guys think? How would you build this mini Spider-Verse from now on for Marvel?